Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And this is freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. There's my contact information, standard YouTube copyright, and my content may not be used to train AI and its LLMs without appropriate compensation first. Translation, you can't afford it. Keys to the reading, because I do read astrology a little bit differently. Number one, I use constellational based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal astrology. Simply put, it's astrology by the visible sky. I'm looking at the planets and where they are in the sky right now and giving you interpretation based on that. Tropical astrology fixes the signs to seasons back in ancient Rome. I'm not in ancient Rome, neither are you, so why use it? Secondly, when you're using the visible sky between Scorpio and Sagittarius, there is another sign called Ophiuchus. It's the sign of the wounded healer. The symbol is of a person holding a snake by the head and the tail. Snake in ancient times symbolized knowledge. So when you have a person holding a snake by head and the tail, it's controlling knowledge or using knowledge. And in the mythos, it was using knowledge to heal themselves so they could heal others with similar wounds. Another point here, a difference is that I use the natural size of the constellations. Mother Nature, the Divine Feminine, whatever you believe in. Constellations are made. They were made in all different sizes. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees. Libra, Scorpio, Fucus, Cancer, Aquarius, or not Aquarius, Aries, they're all individually less than 25 degrees. So signs are all different sizes. That's the wisdom of spirit. So I follow that. And I use the astrological midpoints because the IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn. Athan Shimenti noted this in his explorations when he was looking at the IAU boundary between Ophiuchus and Scorpio, and he noticed stars from Scorpio in over the border, IAU border of Ophiuchus. So what he did was he took the zodiac belt, last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of Ophiuchus, what's the midpoint? And then he did that around the entire chart. So I'm using the midpoints. I think it's a little bit more accurate. And here's the reading part two. I interpret using evolutionary astrology. Um, Evolutionary astrology says that these transits are lessons to learn and that you have freedom of choice. There's a goal that you aim for, and then you freedom of choice. You can choose the shadow, as I call it. So you have freedom of choice. You're fated to face these transits. How you do it is up to you. This is the weekly edition, so these are universal lessons for everyone on planet Earth. So do have some compassion on your fellow travelers. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I'm outside of Buffalo, New York. I am working within 1 degree of exact because that makes it manageable for me. If I could go wider, I would get overwhelmed, and if I'm overwhelmed, you're lost. And 1 degree seems to be the industry standard. I'm selling out on that much. And the software that I use is Capricorn by Prometheus, which will be made available again soon through the ISAA, from what I understand. Okay, that was an interesting noise. Hold on a second. There we go. So these are the weekly transits for the week of March 9th through 15th. I'm hoping to get back into a regular schedule where I get these out on Sunday night. This weekend was just a mess with things that happened. So I was ready to, but daylight savings, amongst other issues, just made it not possible. So, but the sun, let's talk about the sun. It starts the week in Aquarius and moves into Pisces. So we'll be in Pisces season. Welcome to Pisces season, finally. And that sets us up for the equinox. When we get the equinox in March, it will be rising in Pisces. The moon is relatively busy this week. Monday, it's in Libra. Tuesday, it's in Scorpio, or starts out in it's Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, and then it spends some time in Sagittarius, and then it ends out the week in Capricorn. So it's a little emotionally intense this week, potentially. And we do have the last quarter moon in Ophiuchus. So the moon in Ophiuchus squaring the sun in Aquarius, and that'll be on Wednesday, the 11th. And I believe that's at 4:33 in the morning, if I remember correctly. So this is going to be happening very early in the day. Our active planets, they're kind of out of order here, but the sun, because it is moving, changing signs, I always like to highlight that. And secondly, Mars is actually the busy planet this week, does have transits to the nodes of the moon, plus a conjunction with Mercury. So learning courage and assertiveness, and how are you working with that? We do not have any long transits, and usually these are the outer planets. Jupiter through Pluto and Chiron interacting with each other, and throw the nodes of the moon in there as well, because they do have a very slow, long transit themselves. So we don't have any. We got a little bit of a breather there. Jupiter is moving station direct this week. In fact, it'll be late Monday night is when it begins that change. So we'll be talking about that shortly. And that leaves us our only retrograde planet being Mercury. And if I pause periodically, it's because Shadow had kittens and I hear them scratching. It's like, that just sounds weird to me. All right, so here's our week. My doodle tool, and here we go. We'll start with the moon right here. And like I said, we start in Libra, late Monday night in Scorpio, later in Tuesday into Ophiuchus, later on Wednesday into Sagittarius. And we do have the last quarter moon in Ophiuchus on Wednesday morning. And so you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, up until Saturday evening when it goes into Capricorn. So Wednesday through Saturday, our long lunar stretch. In Sagittarius, you get ready to have a little fun, hopefully. Let's see. Tuesday, we do have the sun going into Pisces. So the change here, Aquarius, where you're learning to be independent and authentic. Now you're learning to embrace I would say, your spiritual self, learn to see yourself and understand yourself from a higher perspective. Find your own inspiration as well. Find what really moves you at the spiritual level. And then our planets, as we over here, you see Jupiter late Monday night goes station direct. And I did say Mars, and right here we have Mars and the nodes of the moon. It didn't come up on this model, but when I look at the monthly models, it's there. So I pencil or I inked it in or digitized it in. It is there. So Mars working with the nodes of the moon and then conjuncting Mercury in retrograde. So really that to me is the strong lesson of the week, that learning of courage and assertiveness and working with it. We still do have a little Venus energy there and a little bit of Mercury, but really the two power planets, or the two astral objects that are going to be influencing this week. Number one, again, we're dealing with a sign change with the sun, always affects everyone, definitely Pisces, but then Mars, learning courage and assertiveness. And if you're doing that right, I'll talk about that later. Right, babbling. Yeah, Shadow had kittens, so that's another surprise this weekend. Love my kittens, but they really got to tone it down. Is there anything else on this? No. Okay. So here we go. From this weekend, we have Venus conjuncting Saturn. Venus dealing with relationships, your ability to work and connect with other people, and Saturn maturing, growing, developing. But in Pisces, I would say more at a spiritual level or at a deeper level. You're maturing and growing and taking relationships to a deeper level. You could also say a higher level. But you're really growing and developing your relationships. And in Pisces, a key thing in growing and maturing in Pisces is learning to be present. I think a great lesson of Pisces is being present and in this moment. Not worry about tomorrow or yesterday. Be here now, to quote Ram Dass. Um, and by doing that, you actually can build your relationships, and you also develop integrity and self-respect for yourself as well. Also, Venus deals with the arts. So it's developing your artistic ability and your ability to be inspired in that way. The shadow here, Venus gets slick and manipulative, and Saturn is cynical and a bit of a control freak. So it's trying to find ways of manipulating and controlling people and being deceptive. And so there's that. We do have the moon in Libra. Time to pause and take a breath. First and foremost, be open to paradox. Things do not have to make sense. They just have to be. So be open to that, and let situations be ambiguous if you can. And if they're, things don't have to make sense. Accept ambiguity. It's okay. Situations will sort themselves out. The shadow here is falling into indecision and insecurity, and that just fuels poor choices. So being able to accept ambiguity will help you sort things out and make things clearer. When you just don't want to try to do anything, that's where it creates problems. And then from Sunday, we have Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, trining Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. So Mercury retrograde is reflecting on your ability to learn and communicate. And in Aquarius, are you learning what's interesting to you? Are you communicating your own personal truths? A trine is a support. How is that supporting your how is that supporting your opportunities to learn and opportunities to communicate? So what else did I have? Anything else on that? And how is that helping you to develop self-confidence in your abilities to learn and communicate? I think that's very important there. The shadow here. Mercury become mentally rigid and defensive, and in Aquarius, it's selling itself out to fit in with somewhere that it doesn't belong. Whether it's what I call the suits, lawyers always act this way and dress this way, so I have to be like that. That's just an example. Or my other favorite thing, acting out to get a reaction from people. And again, that's another group you're trying to fit in that you don't. But my favorite quip on this is the guy with the mohawk, and everybody's like, oh, he's got a mohawk, and comes back the next day wears fluorescent pink because he's trying to get a reaction. So you're selling yourself out to fit in, and how is that undermining? How is that feeding or fueling a crisis in self-confidence in your ability to learn, your ability to communicate, and communicate who you really are? Whoops. And let's start with Monday. Venus in Pisces sextiling Pluto. And again, we talked about Venus in Pisces. Venus, your relationships, taking to a higher, deeper level, being able to be present with people, listening to them and being with them to hear what they have to say, not instead of thinking of an answer. You're learning to build relationships and build it to take it to a deeper level or higher level, however, both two ways of saying the same thing. How is that supporting Pluto in Capricorn? Pluto, the ability to transform and to transform. This is also a sign of a planet of healing, deep transformation, deep healing. And in Capricorn, doing that work. So how is your learning to be present with people helping you to do the work of healing those relationships or transforming those relationships? I also have it as spiritual relationships as well, because people can teach us a lot about spirituality. The shadow here, slick, manipulative, and deceptive, living in this fantasy. And how is that leading to deeper wounding, loneliness, and isolation? And how is that slick and manipulative attitude also fueling a cynical attitude towards others? And later on Monday evening, we also have the moon entering Scorpio. Emotional depth. It's time to face some unsettling truths about yourself. Yes, there can be some intense conversations, and that's okay. If you're learning how to face your own deep truths, then it's good. The shadow here is falling into a rotten mood and taking those feelings out on others. And way late Monday night, Jupiter station direct in Gemini. It moves station direct, meaning for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, for those of you who have clear skies, Jupiter will look like it's standing still. It's making the transition from looking like it's moving backwards to moving forwards. It actually did move backwards quite a bit. Never mind. So Jupiter is learning as the opportunity to learn. Our Jupiter and Gemini has the opportunity to learn, developing self-confidence in your abilities to learn and communicate. And embrace those opportunities and learning what your higher potentials in life are and what higher knowledge you need to gain. I liken Gemini to library time. We're doing a research project. You're digging up the information. You're taking the time to learn. The difference between Gemini and Sagittarius, because I do get asked this, Gemini is doing research in a library. This is the classroom lecture. If you took science classes, this is lecture time, classroom time. Sagittarius is getting out and going out and doing it in the real world. For using our science class analogy, Jupiter in Sagittarius is the science lab. So you listen to the lecture about mixing up chemicals and what type of reactions to expect. And then in chemistry lab, you're doing the experiments with those chemicals. The shadow of Jupiter in Gemini, shadow of Jupiter, is a crisis of confidence, whether it's overconfident or underconfident. You think you know more than you do, or you're selling yourself short in what knowledge you really do have, or in your abilities to communicate. You think you're a great communicator when you really stink, or you have no confidence in your ability to deliver a message when really you're much better than that. And so it can project a false image and fuel, again, that crisis of confidence, fuel a false image. It fuels, something else. Yeah, and this also leads you living in idle fantasy about opportunities and never realizing them. So you're sabotaging your ability to learn. On Tuesday, the sun enters Pisces. So spotlight here, the focus for you is to focus on the spiritual aspects of yourself and your life. And I'm not talking religion. Religion are the rules of man. I'm talking about your own ability to connect with the divine. All the different religious traditions or spiritual traditions have an ability for a person to connect to the divine directly. Your job, learn how to do that. See how your spiritual values can help inform your own values and create an accurate self-image as well. How is your spiritual ability helping you to understand you? And it's also possible to become more engaged. As you connect with that higher self, helps you understand part of your purpose in life, and you can actually fulfill it better. The shadow is falling into the false ego and living in an idle fantasy that blinds you to the world around you and lead into selfish behaviors, also self-deception, and it leads to loss of your core identity. And with all that fuels a martyr complex. Oh, woe is me, I'm being picked on and persecuted because of. Nobody's interested. Pardon my sarcastic attitude there. And also on Tuesday, the moon enters Ophiuchus. You heard me talking about how this is the person holding a snake, knowledge, using it to heal. So this is about healing your emotional self. The moon, also in this tradition that I use for evolutionary astrology, is the soul. So this is emotional healing, also healing the soul. So it's time to rest and heal from the wounds of life. Look to see what knowledge and wisdom can be gained from your experiences, and also pay attention to the healers who are helping you to heal. A time of emotional healing. The shadow is refusing to heal or wounding others. Misery loves company. Taking that knowledge that they hurt you and turning it around and using it to ruin other people's lives. That. Whoops. And on Wednesday morning at 4:33 a.m. ET Eastern Time, your mileage may vary. We have the last quarter moon in Ophiuchus, which is the moon in Ophiuchus squaring the sun in Pisces. Now, this is a waning square, which is about releasing. So the square is a challenge. The purpose is to strengthen you. Think of it as a stepping stone as well. It's a purpose, it's a challenge that strengthens you. So as you're healing these wounds, challenges to release it so that you can embrace more of your higher self and your higher identity about yourself and gain higher knowledge. And that can be a very healing experience, not only for your soul, your emotional self, but also for your core identity. The shadow here is playing out your emotional wounds, leads to a stumbling block or a crushing burden. That's the shadow of the square. And it fuels the false ego, the creation of an identity as a self-styled martyr. This playing up these wounds fuels the victimhood complex. And Wednesday evening, the moon enters Sagittarius. You get all this healing. Time to get up and go out and open up to new experiences, embrace the opportunities that life has to offer, and find the joys in life and celebrate it. Sagittarius loves a party, to be honest. And it's about finding the joys in life and new, like I said, new experiences. So this is Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. Look for the joy in life. The shadow here is becoming self-righteous and defending the status quo. And this can lead to meaningless experiences. Just repeating, yes, doing today and tomorrow what we did yesterday because that's just the way it is and that's the way it's always been. And Thursday, we finally get to this Martian energy. Mars in Aquarius opposite the South Node in Leo. Now, let's start with the opposition here, because an opposition in this situation for me is a time of reflection. It can be a time of balancing, but when I'm dealing with the South Node, to me, it's better it's always come across to me as better as a time of reflection. So Mars in Aquarius is having the courage to become more authentic. And what are you reflecting on? The South Node in Leo is helping you to understand how you've held yourself down and back in life with pointless drama. What type of drama are you using to drag yourself down? So as you're having the courage to become more authentic, remember that drama. And the goal here is to remind you of it so that you stop doing it. And in doing so, you move away from the pointless drama, the fake self, and become your authentic self. I'm going to tie the North Node in with that a little bit. Okay? The shadow here is you fall into fear. You sell yourself out to fit into someplace, either the suit or the eccentric rebel, trying to get a reaction from people. In either one of those, instead of working away from the pointless drama, relives it at a higher level. In fact, that pointless drama can create a bit of a tug of war or a struggle. And it's just going to drag you down and fuel self-sabotage and also the denial of your destiny. And Mars conjunct the North Node in Aquarius, having the courage to make your North Node, your destiny. If you were to call it the North Star, that would almost kind of make sense, except for it's not the North Star in the sky, but it's your own personal North Star. How do you make that authentic, truly authentic to yourself? The key here with the North Node, I tell people, is understand where it is in your birth chart. So go to your birth chart. Where is it in your birth chart? I'll use my own as an example. It's in Pisces. I'm here to learn these grand spiritual lessons. How do I make those spiritual lessons authentic to myself? Having the courage to do that work. And so that would be Mars conjunct the North Node. And then just remembering, for me personally, remembering how I've held myself back with that pointless drama. Where's my South Node? My South Node is actually in Virgo. How have I held myself back with unrealistic expectations and trying to control and micromanage everything and plan things out perfectly when you can never plan things out perfectly. You have to settle for good enough. And how am I creating pointless drama with that? So that would be for me. So that's the ideal, having the courage to make your North Star, your own personal destiny authentic to yourself. The shadow here, Mars falls into fear. And instead of you following your own personal destiny, you look to see what other people are doing and you sell out to that. You sell out to somebody else's vision, somebody else's ideas, and you follow that, you give into that, and that creates, something else other than who you really are. Let's see, falling into fear, selling yourself out, attacking others pointlessly, and you're denying your own destiny here. You're selling yourself out, trying to fit in where you don't belong out of fear. Rather than becoming more authentic, you lose it all. Friday, take a breath. Remember to exhale, repeat. You still got these transits going on, but we get a day with no transits starting. On Saturday, Mercury retrograde conjunct Mars in Aquarius. Do you have the courage to learn what interests you? Do you have the courage to speak your own personal truths? Yeah, that just summarizes it. Those two questions. The shadow here on Mercury gets distracted, can be a know-it-all or can't learn it all. Mental rigidity, blinding itself to wonder. And with all of that, it's fueled by fear and it sells itself out to fit in where it doesn't belong. And yeah, fear feuding, mental rigidity, blinding you to wonder. Yeah, selling yourself out. And at the end of the day, yeah, you're physically and mentally exhausted because, Mars, physically and mentally exhausted because you're not who you are, and it actually takes more energy to be fake than to be real. And also on Saturday, we have the moon entering Capricorn. Emotionally, you're ready for a challenge and to do some hard work. And let's see, and practice self-discipline and commit to the process that leads to success. So here you are, let go of what's not working for you so you can do what is working for you. The shadow here is feeling uptight, trying to control others, and that fuels feelings of loneliness and isolation. So if you're trying to be a bit of a control freak, it's going to people will leave you alone. Do anything to get away from that. And on Sunday, remember to take a breath, remember to exhale, repeat. No new transits, we're completing some transits, and that's the week in a nutshell, so to speak. That's what I get for reading Dr. Seuss at school. So do follow me on social media. I am on YouTube, which is where you're watching this for now. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. That's where you get the daily deep dives, where I take some of these transits and explore them just a little bit deeper. I'm also on the Digital Soul Space. These three companies are making billions of dollars off your data, and they might not be sharing anything with you. Digital Soul Space is hosted on the Mighty Networks, and you control your data and how it's used. Your data is isolated away from you. So if they are giving, if you do give them permission to sell your data or give your data away, they can't sit down and say, yes, this is tied to this person, because they don't attach identities. It's a great place to be. There's a free version and a paid version. Free version gives you limited access. Paid version gets you unlimited access. But on there, you get first of all, it's a bully-free zone. We have 4 great monitors that keep the conversations where they belong. And there are people, I say that I do astrology. There are people who do crystals, tarot, oracle decks, mediumship. Tuxedo, what's going on? Sometimes I wonder if what the moon does to my cats. It does something. Let's see, mediumship. What else do they do on there? Oh, there's a variety of spiritual practices. Um, you name it, it's on there. It's a great place to be. You ask a question, people will share what they know. Um, what else is there? So yeah, do join it. And I do myself offer readings on freedomthroughastrology.com. If you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal, order the quick six. Gives you 6 key points off your chart and helps you understand it. Provides a nice foundation. Your birth chart, I do birth chart, and your natal chart reading is also known as. And that is your birth contract. In evolutionary astrology, your birth chart is who you came here to become. It's the end all goal. So it's like, it's not me that I'm a Taurus. I'm here learning to be a good Taurus and what that means. And now that spring's here, I do have to get outside more and sit in the meadow and smell the roses. Karmic or past life reading, where the birth chart focuses on the sun and other key points, the karmic past or past life reading focuses on the nodes of the moon. And if you believe in one and done, this is a special lesson you came here to learn. However, if you believe in past lives, the south node is an emotional memory of your past life. It helps paint the archetype that you're reliving in this lifetime. But if it's pointing out a problem, it gives you the solution, and I can help you understand the solution by terms of the North Node. I also read horoscopes, 1 year, just any 12 months in a row, 3 months, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And that can be first of the month to the last of the month, or new moon to new moon. There are some people who like that. I also do packages. I also do consultation times, anything from half an hour to an hour and a half, where you just ask me questions and I give you the best answer I can. I do offer packages that combine these readings at varying levels and combinations. So do go to freedomthroughastrology.com, like this video, follow me, share it. Do go to my website, sign up for the newsletter. It'll be in the pop-up, or you click on the subscribe button. All I need is an email address for a once-a-week newsletter giving you first information about the transits for the week. So thank you very much. I hope you have the best week possible. Like, follow, share, and remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Have the best week possible, and happy Pisces season, everyone.